All right, let's in fact take you to Bloemfontein now. We've got our senior reporter, Silindelo Masikane, who was at Bereng's funeral a little earlier on. She joins us now live. Slee, I'm just imagining how the family is feeling going through what they're going through this week after a year of not having any answers. How have people described Katlego?
I mean, from many of the speeches we heard throughout the morning, Masego, you can tell that Katlego Bereng was somebody who was very much loved by his community, but in particular, of course, by his friends as well as his family. This is someone who was a father of two. This is someone who was quite close in terms of the Bloemfontein Celtic Supporters Club. He ran a branch. He opened many branches within his region. He was only 31 years old, but very much a community leader and someone that many of his close, friends actually really looked up to. We heard from some of those who worked with him, some of those who spent a lot of time with him within the football fraternity, and many of them just really describing him as somebody who was very kind and compassionate, who was a people's person, and of course had a great love for soccer. Now, I actually can see to my left, I'm going to ask Tebogo Masilo to just show you that we actually do have many of the funeral mourners who have arrived. You can see the funeral procession coming into the cemetery here. This is going to be Katlego Bereng's final resting place. And of course, we know the absolutely devastating circumstances around how his body was found. In fact, his family last saw him in March of 2022. And from what we've been told is that a missing persons report was then filed with the police. They searched government mortuaries all across the Free State to no avail. A year later, more than a year later, police then contacted Katlego Bereng's mother, who did DNA tests. And following those DNA tests, we understand that they confirmed that, in fact, the body which was planted in Thabo Besta's cell 35, was that of Katlego Bereng. You would remember that some of the details we already know is that that body was set alight. Subsequently, we know that Dr. Nandi Pamakudumana took possession of Bereng's body, claiming to be Thabo Besta's wife, customary wife. She tried to file court papers in order to be able to cremate his body, but was stopped by Besta's mother, who in fact also did DNA tests herself, which confirmed that that body wasn't of Besta. Thabo Besta's mother said that she wasn't going to let somebody else bury her son while she was still alive, not knowing in fact that, of course, Besta was alive and well and had planned this elaborate, calculated escape from prison, and of course Katlego Bereng's body being used as a decoy in his cell. And so, as you can see now, we have mourners arriving to lay him to rest. Let's just take a listen to what his employer, Katlego Bereng's employer, had to say with regards to who Katlego was.
Master. But from being an employee, we grew to become brothers. Because we had a small team, myself and my co-partner. Scartley dedicated his entire life to the lounge. He remained loyal to us, and we arguably turned a dead place into a place of memories. I respected him for his dedication to our business, but more than anything, Katlego loved what he did. He was passionate, he was reliable, and he cared about people around him. Katlego accepted his past mistakes and he wanted to fix everything during the process of working at Paradise Lounge. He wanted to face the world for his children and his mother. We barely spoke about our mothers, but when we did, I can attest Skatle loved Mewa. He had humongous dreams.
And Slee, just remind us again in terms of, all the circumstances surrounding his death, the people who were arrested. One of them, who is in the dock with Dr. Nandipha Makudumana and Thabo Bester, is allegedly a friend to Katlego. Just remind us a bit about this friendship between these two.
That's what we're hearing on the ground in terms of some of the acquaintances or associates of Katlego Bereng. We understand one of the accused number one, Sinuhe Matwara, who is a former G4S employee, was an acquaintance of Katlego Bereng. They used to hang out together. That's what we're hearing on the ground. But of course, we understand all of those details will be confirmed with police investigations. What's interesting, though, is that this week, on the day of the memorial service, which was actually the day after the court's appearance of Dr. Nandipha and 5 others, the NPA released a statement in the afternoon ahead of the memorial service, stating that the NPA was going to be dropping the murder charge against Dr. Nandipha and the co-accused, and that is because of insufficient evidence that they unfortunately don't have in terms of connecting the accused to the crime that was committed. So the NPA released a statement saying that unfortunately they were going to have to provisionally withdraw the murder charge against Dr. Nandipha, Sinuhe Matwara, and the others who were in the dock. And so, of course, the family during that memorial service telling us that they had not been informed by the NPA at that stage, that they were hoping that, of course, a conversation would be had with the family to make them understand exactly why it is that the murder charge was being dropped, because, of course, for the family, they are still seeking answers to understand how it is that Katlego Bereng's body ended up at the Mangaung Correctional Center. And at this stage, the NPA is saying that it's just a provisional withdrawal. At any point, if evidence by the SAPS and the investigating officer in particular is gathered, which can link the accused to the death of Katlego Bereng, then the NPA would, of course, then resume with charging the accused once more, who can be linked. But at this point, there's just simply not enough evidence to link them. And so what we also understand then is that in terms of the circumstances surrounding Katlego's death, what we have been able to gather and what we have heard from the family is that Katlego Bereng, what they've been told by police is that he collapsed in town and was then subsequently collected via an ambulance to the nearest government hospital. It seems that he bled out after suffering blunt force trauma, and from what we understand is when he arrived at the hospital, he was then registered as an unknown, and at that point Katlego Bereng's aunt, Poppy Bereng, was telling mourners today is where they believe the mischief began. They don't know exactly what then happened to Katlego Bereng's body from the hospital in terms of whether it was moved to a mortuary or whether, it was taken out from the hospital to be planted in Thabo Bester's cell. So at this point, many unanswered questions. All we know at this point is that there was an attempt by Dr. Nandipa to have Katlego Bereng's body cremated, but that, of course, was then stopped by the DNA tests done, which were done on Thabo Bester's mother. And of course, she was insisting that she wanted to be able to bury her son. What you're seeing now, Masego, is Katlego Bereng's mother, who has been absolutely inconsolable for many weeks now. In fact, at the time in which the family went to view Katlego Bereng's body at the state mortuary, an ambulance had to be called because she simply was not doing well. And of course, we know that Katlego Bereng's father as well, he has come to Bloemfontein from Gauteng in order to be able to bury his son as well. We know that Katlego Bereng's father, Batum Polo, in fact, was the one who had announced the death of his son, saying that his son's body was the one that was found at Thabo Bester's cell, saying that the family was going to be seeking many answers in terms of what has happened. We know that Batum Polo, who is Katlego Bereng's father, has also been assisted by Action SA to lay charges against the state as well as G4S in terms of how Katlego Bereng's body ended up in Bester's cell. They want to know who needs to be held accountable for that particular act. And so at this point, we had quite lengthy emotional proceedings this morning in terms of the funeral, with many messages of support to the family for Katlego, as well as many of them describing him, of course, like I said, Masego, as somebody who was very much loved by the community. You can see from the many people who have come out here, despite the rain, they have come to support the family, to allow the family to lay their son to rest. Katlego Bereng, Masego, was only 31 years old. He was due to be 32 years old, in fact, on the 18th of May of this month. And so for the family, this is a complete shattering loss for them. And as you can see from the visuals in front of you, we do have the coffin that is carrying Katlego Bereng to his final resting place, being brought in by Bloemfontein Celtic supporters. The supporters club, in fact, was the one that also organized the memorial service for Katlego Bereng. And at this point, Masego, I just want to allow the visuals to speak for themselves.
those are visuals given to us by our senior reporter Silindelo Masikane and her camera colleague Tebogo Masilo there in Bloemfontein, where Katlego Bereng is being laid to rest finally. More than a year, in fact, since he went missing. He is, if you've just joined us, he is that young man, 31 years old, whose body was used as a decoy in cell number 35 at the Mangaung Correctional Center when Thabo Bester managed to escape that prison.